M.1 Convert between radians and degrees. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to explain what everything is going to be, but what I'm going to do here is basically get this circle. So you can either just, sit and watch and, try to understand what I'm doing, but eventually I'm just going to be getting this diagram. Okay, so if we draw a circle and we start on the x-axis and go counterclockwise, how many degrees is in a full circle? 360, right? Okay, so what if we, let me change colors, started on the positive x-axis and just went right here. So whenever you start, if you haven't started yet, you are at 0 degrees. But if you just go this much, how many degrees is that? 90. And then you go that much more, then you are at 180. You go that much more, you're at 270. And if you finish the circle, then you're going to be at 360. So 0 degrees and 360 degrees is at the same spot. All right, so let me erase that. And put 0, 90. That's gross. 180 and 270. Now, bear with me again. What is it called from the center of a circle to the edge of a circle? It's called the radius. Okay? And if I had a piece of string and I put one end of the string here and stretched it out and cut it off where we make the circle, then that's how long the radius is, right? If I picked up that string then, the string that has a length of radius, and I put one end of the circle at 0, and I stretched it along the circle as far as I could, and then connected that right there, this length is called 1 radian. So a radian, which you probably never heard before, a radian has the same length as the radius. So this is 1 radian. Then if I do it again, change colors. If I pick up the string and I put it at the end of the radian that I just found and did it again, it would stop about right there. So the green is 1 radian. Change colors again. And here, 1 radian. And notice that it did not completely get to half of a circle. It did not get completely to 180. And so for half of a circle, we have 1, 2, 3, and this right here, this little space right here is 0.14 radians. So if I asked how long is the string to get from 0 to 180, 180 degrees is the same thing as 123.14 radians. And what's 3.14? Pi. All right? So 180 degrees is the same thing as pi radians. We are going to use this over and over and over again. So then we're going to come up here. Well, no, I'm going to come back. So now I'm going to erase again. Lots of stuff to talk about. And erase everything except for that part of it. So if this is at 0, this is at 180, 90, and 270. So if 180 degrees is the same thing as pi, then if I only went 90 degrees, that would be half of pi, right? So pi over 2. But if I went from 0 through 90 to 180 to 270, I've went my pi and then half of another one. So what's 1 and half of another one? 1.5. And what's 1.5? 3 over 2 pi. And then if I finish the circle, that's the same thing as 2 pi, which is the same thing as 360. Okay? Then if we do this at 45 degrees, well, 45 degrees is half of 90 degrees, and if 90 degrees is pi over 2, then 45 degrees is going to be half of pi over 2, or half of a half. And what's half of a half? Pi over 4. And then all this other stuff that we'll get to in a minute. So if we come down here, we have 0 degrees and 0 radians, 90 degrees and pi over 2 radians, 180 degrees and pi radians, 270 degrees and 3 pi over 2. You are not going to be needing these informations, for now, so don't worry about what those coordinates are. All we are going to be looking at is this. See that 45 is pi over 4, 30 is pi over 6, 60 is pi over 3, and so on, and so on, and so on. And I'm going to show you how we're going to get those answers. But you have this in front of you, so you can use it to the best of your ability. Okay. So, how many radians is 30 degrees? How many radians is 30 degrees? So what we would do, if we didn't have the chart that's above us, we would take the 30 degrees and we would multiply it by a conversion factor. And what a conversion factor is, I'm going to put the 180 degrees on bottom. I'll show you in just a second. And what's radians to 180 degrees? Pi radians. And the reason I put the degrees on bottom is because now I could put that over 1. The degrees would cancel out, and I would be left with 30 pi radians over 180. The zeros will cancel out, and we'd be left with 3 pi over 18, and 3 pi over 18 reduces to pi over 6 radians. pi over 6, but I already knew that because 30 degrees is pi over 6. Okay. $90. My marker is not wanting to work. My marker is really not wanting to work. 90 degrees times pi radians over 180 degrees. The degrees will cancel out, and I'm left with 90 pi over 180, and 90 over 180 is 1 over 2, or pi over 2 radians. $330 degrees times pi radians over 180 degrees. The degrees will cancel out. I'm left with 330 pi over 180 radians. The zeros cancel out, and I would reduce the 33 over 18 by 3, and it'll be 11 over 6 pi. 11 pi over 6. We shouldn't have to do this because it's saying 180 degrees. Well, we know 180 degrees is just pi. $135 pi over 180. I'm shortcutting it now. And I don't have these memorized. I used to. 135 is 3 pi over 4. I didn't want to reduce that in my head. Now, negative 252. Well, we don't have a 252 on this chart, and that's why I've been showing you over and over and over what to do every single time. So we will do the same thing, and our answer is going to be negative. So negative 252 pi over 180. I don't have a calculator with me. I'm going to pause. Okay, so I got a calculator and I threw that in, and it's negative 7 pi over 5. And then on these, super easy, because now they're giving us radians, and we want to know what the degrees are. And if pi is the same thing as 180, then I'm going to substitute that pi for 180. I'm going to do the math, and that would be 360 divided by 5, which is 72. 16 times 180 divided by 9, 320. Negative 7 times 180 divided by 9, which will make that 20, which would be negative 140.